Hi, this is Margo. This is Sunday afternoon, July the 19th, 2020, and this is my weekly update for YouTube. I'm going to go over methane for the week and Arctic sea ice and some other climate-related items. So I hope everyone is doing as well as possible. It's getting weird, but I'm still here, and I appreciate whoever's tuning in. I appreciate all of my Subscribe members and my YouTube subscribers, and we're just kind of doing the countdown now. So I'm going to start with the NOAA methane data. This is from yesterday, the 18th, for Saturday, for the 477/469 millibar reading. This is the Met-Op-1 satellite in the morning. The mean or average was 1,897 parts per billion, and the high reading was 2371. In the afternoon, the mean was 1896, and the high reading was 2291. On the Met-Op-2 satellite in the morning, the mean was 1875, the high reading was 2472, and in the afternoon, the mean was 1877, and the high reading was 2260. So I've been tracking this data since March of last year, 2019, and this is the spreadsheet and graph, and so here's the weekly where I've been tracking it. So I took all those numbers that I just called off and added them up and divided by 4, and we come up with an average for this week of 1886.25 parts per billion, and that's a slight decrease of 0.5 parts per billion. So since last Saturday, it's gone down 0.5 parts per billion, and now last Saturday it had gone up 4.5. It was a sharp increase. It had gone up 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks in a row, and we're just starting at the time of year when methane starts to really increase. And so here it is on the chart where it goes down slightly on this half a part per billion, but we're still above the highest reading from last year, which was in October. And if we have a little valley here and there between now and October, that's okay, because to have it just go straight up from now until October, that's not good. So the change that we've seen since February 29th or March the 1st of this year, that's the anniversary of when I started tracking this, is an increase of 9.75 parts per billion. So the change since March the 1st of 2019, so a year and a half, has been an increase of 29 parts per billion. So it's out of control. Now, if you want to see what it did daily this week, and I provide this information in my almost daily videos to my Subscribe members, and so if you're not a member, I recommend you check it out. The link is below, and you can check it out and see if you'd like to join the community over there. So here's the number from last Saturday, the 11th, 1886.75. Then on Sunday it went down 0.75. On Monday it went back up 0.25. On Tuesday it went up 0.5. So by the middle of the week we were zeroed out from where it was on Saturday. On Wednesday there was no change. On Thursday it went down 1.25. On Friday it went down 0.5, and then on Saturday it came back up 1.25. So here's the decrease. Here's the daily change. Here's the weekly change. And so but it's really started going up this year, the first part of February. So since February the 8th, it's increased 23 parts per billion. So that's an insane increase. But that's where we're at, and that's what we're looking at. And it's not looking good, and the sea ice is sad. It's sad. I believe we're going to have a blue ocean event soon. And some of the other ones who study this and reporting are saying the same thing. So if it's not this year, it will definitely be next year. So now let's look at methane on cams. The latest data is from today, the 19th. I had the Arctic view pulled up and the surface level. There's the color ledger. And so here's where it left off on Saturday. Now notice that we don't have solid greens here today, and so we're seeing the effects of the methane going down slightly this week. So it's not just solid green all the way across, but we're still showing some really high releases and lots of high concentrations. It's still coming up here in the Kara Sea, and also earlier this week we saw it coming up on Canada right here in this little inlet on this Canadian island. It was pulsing up earlier this week. So this is where it left off. We're seeing high release here in the Scandinavian countries and in northwest Russia and across Russia, and you'll see. So I'll run the movie and then we can discuss it. So the data is for today, and then the forecast period runs Monday through Thursday. So we can see it's pulsing up again here on this almost on the coastline of this Canadian island right there. Now we've seen heavy melting along the coastline here of the sea ice, so I'm not surprised to see methane come up. It's probably coming up out of the sediment from the inlet there. And we'll be seeing more and more of this, I'm thinking, as those tributaries melt and as the sea ice melts and things heat up more. So we're still seeing this high release around Severnae Zemlya and here in the North Kara Sea, and we've got it streaming out from Russia here, coming out in the Barents Sea. We've still got this problem area here in the North Atlantic that's popping up right there, a little red spot. And it's coming up more and more throughout Russia and Siberia. We can see that it's coming up more north in China, and this is southern Russia here, so this is starting to fill back in. And over here on East Siberia it's coming back, and in Alaska it's filling back up here and throughout parts of Canada. Now let's look at the North Pole view. We can see pretty much the whole northern hemisphere from this view. Here's England, or the UK, and Ireland. They are filling back up with methane. Germany is filling back up. The Mediterranean countries are coming back to life with methane. We can see it's a lot of greens moving in down here across Europe and down throughout the Mediterranean. Here's the Persian Gulf, that's filling up. Here's India, and here's China, and here's Southern Asia, and we can see it's filling up over the coastline here throughout these islands, throughout the Philippines. It's very high down here. And here's this east coast of the US that's always a problem spot, but especially in the summertime. And it's actually, it's not looking as bad here in the US as it has at some points. So it just depends on the weather and the temperature, what's going on with the weather. So there's that. Now let's pull up the global view. Now it's still coming up in the Antarctic, around this western peninsula, and on this east coast of the Weddell Sea we can see light blue areas pulsating up, and a little bit coming up over here and here all around these coastlines. And we can see it's going around Australia. And we used to see this dark blue color up higher, more up to about the midpoint, past the equator line. The equator runs right through here, but now we're seeing a lighter blue, and the methane is redistributing and into the higher ranges all around the planet. That's what I've noticed. And the lowest reading color is this dark blue that we're seeing, and this is at surface level, and that's 1800. So the lowest reading at surface level, even down here at the Antarctic, is 1800 parts per billion. So that's how things have changed in the last year or so. Now let's look at 500 HPA. This will be almost at the same altitude as the 477 that we looked at. I'm going to refresh this so we can get the correct color ledger. Their numbers overlap. The high reading is 2360 parts per billion between 1950 to 2360 is this darkest color, like right there in India. So we can see that, so we've had a decrease this week, but notice how the greens are coming further south, and we've got green and this aqua green covering the whole southern part around the Antarctic, and the yellows and oranges are moving further south as well. So that's what you want to keep in mind as you're looking at this. Just because we're not seeing solid red over this Arctic region does not mean that it's not higher. It's redistributed all around the planet to higher readings. Now let's look at total column. And I'll refresh this to get the correct color ledger. If you don't refresh it after you change levels, it keeps the old color ledger from the one before. So here this high zone is between 1920 and 2320 parts per billion. We're seeing that color here in China and over northern India. And then bright red, which is 1880 to 1900. The darker red is 1900 to 1920. So we can see the reds are really spreading out, and it's red here this is Russia, just to the north of China here on this eastern side. It's red here near the Persian Gulf. A little bit of red up here in Venezuela. So there's that. Now I'm going to continue with my slideshow. Before we look at the sea ice, I'm going to continue with my other pictures I have. This is from Climate Reanalyzer, not Climate Reanalyzer, from CAMS this morning. This is the Arctic view of ozone, and there is a hole over the Arctic. I've been showing this all week, and I believe it's from, we have this high pressure dome of hot air up there, this churning, and we have sulfur dioxide moving across the Arctic and a lot of smoke from wildfires. So it's a toxic mix that's moving and churning in the Arctic, and it's breaking down the ozone, and the Earth is unable to form the ozone. It's supposed to be able to, but when it's in the sunlight like this, but we're just not seeing it. So this green is quite thin, and the bright yellow is 300 Dobson units, and then the green is, I can't remember the exact reading, but it's heading down, it's thinner, much thinner. So we're seeing that over the Arctic. So that's not good for the sea ice and the water, because that means that it's a thinner ozone protection from the radiation from the sun coming in. So the sun is coming in hotter over, and we see it's green right over the North Pole. So that's another reason that the sea ice is melting so fast. Here's the global view of ozone from today, and we can see very little of the red and orange. And so in order to average things out, we need the reds and orange, the higher readings, because most of the planet is in the lower readings, below the yellow, because even when you get to this yellow green, the light chartreuse, that's on the thinner side. So it looks to me like the ozone layer is disappearing in patches. It's like Swiss cheese here. And here it's thin over the South Pole or the Antarctic. Here's sulfur dioxide from today. This is from Cam's Total Column Worldview. And we've been watching this area in the West Pacific, this event that's been going on since June. It's been going on for a month now. June 20th was the day it first started up because of this Nishinoshima volcano. It's a Japanese island right down here in this West Pacific that started going off on June 19th. And so it's been continuously doing stuff. And so the sulfur dioxide has been gathering in the atmosphere and moving, getting caught up in the jet stream, but it's pretty heavy, so it sits around at 500 HPA, and it's hard for it to move because it's so heavy. And so it's been moving around and out, but today, and this started yesterday off the west coast of the United States, there's a very high event going on. I'm thinking it started out here in the Pacific, but this is not left over from the volcano. It's just not. This is new, because I study this and report on it every day. And here it is at 500 HPA, and we can see it's intense here and spreading out over the west side of the United States. And we'll look at this in more detail in a moment. Here's the East Tropic view. So here's China. Here we can see it spreading up to Russia now. Here's higher readings over India, Saudi Arabia. Now these are from man-made. This is all man-made sources here. And down here, this is from mining down here in South Africa. This is from that volcano. Here it is at 500 HPA. So it's still holding here in this level of the atmosphere in the West Pacific. Here's the Pacific view. So here's Popocatépetl volcano. Here's Alaska, where they have so many earthquakes all piled up. This is up here in Siberia. That's from the wildfires. This is from volcanic activity in South America. Here's Hawaii, and so on. So here it is, this event that's moving. Well, it appeared suddenly. Seriously, it was like I was watching this, and at first, when I saw the little part yesterday, I thought, well, that might be separate. I couldn't tell, but now I'm convinced that this is a whole different event. I'm not seeing earthquakes that would be enough to cause that. I mean, we have earthquakes all the time that don't cause this kind of sulfur dioxide event. So I'm thinking that a plate moved, and possibly the Cascadia, and a whole bunch of sulfur dioxide popped up. That's my thought. Here's the North America view. So we can see it's most intense over, this is Northern California here. This is Petrolia and then it goes on up into Oregon. So, and then it's moving across, straight across. This is Reno's right in here. So this is North Nevada and Idaho here. But look at that. That's unbelievable. It's flipping me out. And I'm sensitive to these things. And night before last, I didn't sleep. I might have slept an hour, and then I got up, and I was up all day. And I was just, I'm thinking I was reacting to this before it showed up. It's awful. I have no idea what that's from. But I want to show, before I go on, I want to show, go to sulfur dioxide. I want to go to the Pacific view again. And go to Saturday. Because this is where it began. Rewind. Okay, so we can see here, so this is yesterday at the beginning of the day. So here's this is, I didn't know if this was left over from what had been coming across the Pacific or if this was new, but now I think it's new, and we can see it was already starting to spread out. Now I'll run the movie just for yesterday, so you can see it moving, getting bigger and moving out. But so it was sudden. So now the forecast is into Sunday, but if you look at Sunday, this thing blew up. I mean, it was instant. From the end of Saturday to what we're seeing, to that, it was instant. So that's where it left off on Saturday with the data. Now I'm going to rewind, and if we go to 500 HPA, we can see, it's gathering up there. If we run the movie for Saturday at this level, so we'll see it's starting to straighten out, and then that's the shape that we're seeing. So something happened. Something happened. So there's that. Here's the North Pole view. So we're looking down. This is from Russia, the sulfur dioxide. That's from the fires. See, it's a higher reading. So here it is from the Pacific. It might have even happened out here and then shot out. I don't know. Here it is at 500 HPA, so that's much worse than anything else on the planet, sulfur dioxide. sulfur dioxide wise. And as far as I know, we didn't have a volcano blow up. So I don't know what would cause that. It looks like the stuff that was going on back in February. February and March, and I was reporting on that. No one knew what was going on. I don't know. Here's the South Pole view and 500 HPA. Here's the dust cloud from today from CAMS. We've got another one moving out from Africa, starting on a journey across the Atlantic. Here's the fires from today. This is burning in the Congo, and here's the fires in Siberia. Here's the sulfate aerosol from today. So it's heavy here in the Pacific. Now this is what was left over from the volcano that's coming across. But I think this is new. This is part of the new stuff, because it relates to the area that we were seeing this stuff form that's now shooting out across North America. And this is total aerosols today around the planet. That includes the dust, the fires, the sulfate aerosol, and sea salt. And those are all of my pictures there. Now, let's go. I want to run through Climate Reanalyzer next. This is the maximum temperature today. We can see that all of the Arctic is above zero. And we've got more greens here. This is the air temperature. Now Greenland has some cooler temperatures in the center. So here's the flat view, and a lot of the planet is in the white area, the white zones, which is between 45 and 50 degrees Celsius. So we're baking. A lot of the planet is baking. Got lots of reds. Here's 2-meter temperature anomaly from today. We can see the brown is starting to move out now across the Arctic Ocean again. We got a lot of blue areas though, meaning it's cooler than normal. This is indicative of this abrupt climate change or abrupt climate disruption and the breaking down of the jet stream, that you'll have extremely hot areas right next to extremely cold areas. And then when that air clashes together, that's where you get the extreme weather. And we've got the reds in Antarctica down here, but there's a lot of blue and purple down there too. So overall worldwide we're up 0.3 C higher than normal. The northern hemisphere is up 0.6 C. The Arctic is up 1 C. The Antarctic is at minus 0.6 C. Southern hemisphere is in balance, and the tropics are at up 0.5 C. Here's the precipitation and clouds around the planet. Now the green is rain, so it's raining still And it's raining here over Canada and on this sea ice. Raining in the Arctic. And there are areas where it's just been dumping for days and days and days. Like in China and different places, and they're flooding because the jet stream is all messed up. Here's the sea level pressure. We can see this high is still sitting over the Arctic. I've started watching this every day now. This is a dome of heat, and as long as that's there, it's going to keep bearing down on that Arctic sea ice. There's the highs and lows around the planet. So we've got this high pressure system that's equivalent place to where we're seeing the sulfur dioxide event too. So it's zipping across, right across there. Here's the jet stream. So it's starting to kind of gather a little bit of strength here in the northern hemisphere, but not much. It's so weak you can't even see where it's going. It doesn't even know where it's going. See, it's like, where'd it go? And it's not even coming down past these northern states in the U.S. Is just coming across down along this Canadian coastline and then coming back up. So here's the world view, the flat view. And we can see it's much stronger in the southern hemisphere, but see, it's all choppy and broken up. So it's a mess. See? Nothing. Look, nothing all the way across there. Sea ice and snow cover. Now I'm going to go over this in detail in a minute. And sea surface temperature anomaly, they've updated it to yesterday the 18th, and we can see in the Arctic it's worse every time we look at it. Now look at all around Novaya Zemlya, there's no sea ice there anymore, and so now it's all reds and browns and into this whitish pink area, which is the highest, which is 6 degrees C. It might be hotter than that, higher than normal. And here in the Laptev Sea, and here now it's turning red in this East Siberia Sea, all along the coastlines. Now this is where the East Siberia Arctic shelf is, underneath there where a lot of that methane is stored. And here's the Bering Strait, and so on. And there's the blob in the Pacific. So the sea surface temperature is hot over there. So, you know, maybe we had an underwater volcano or something open up. Maybe it's been going for a while. I don't know. Look at all the browns too. So overall, worldwide, the sea surface temperature is up 0.5 C higher than normal. The northern hemisphere is up 0.8 C. The North Atlantic is up 0.8 C. The North Pacific is up 0.8 C. The southern hemisphere is up 0.2 C. And the equatorial Pacific is up 0.3 C. So all the northern hemisphere is up really high, up 0.8 C higher than normal. See, so that's not good. So there's that. Okay, next we'll look at sea ice. I have a slideshow for sea ice and snow cover. This is from Climate Reanalyzer. This is from today. So last week when I did the show, it was on the 19th. So let's see what's happened in the last week on this. So here it is from today. Here's the 18th, 17th, 16th, 15th, 14th, 13th, and 12th. So this is where we were last Sunday. So I'm going to click through and you'll see how it's not only thinning, but the edges are moving in quickly. But we've had huge melt this week. So here it is from today. And this is the sea ice thickness from the Navy model. This is from today. So let's zoom in on this. So I've named these quadrants 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we can see in quadrants 1 and 2 it's mainly in the purple, 1 meter or under. It's getting thin. In quadrant 3 it's really thinning down across northern Greenland, and in quadrant 4 it's thinning down, and this whole little ice cap is melting quickly now. And this is the last of the old sea ice. That's the last. And we're seeing it open up around the coastlines of Greenland and Canada, and here around these Canadian islands. It's melting quickly in these little tributaries, and it's here's the Baffin Bay, and it's thinning out down here. It's melted around that coastline. It's pretty much all cleared out around the Russian side. So here's the 30-day animation from the Navy model for 30 days. It goes back with the data 3 weeks, and then forecast forward 1 week. So a week from now will be the 26th. So I'm going to zoom in. Okay, I've stopped it in the middle. What day is this? This is the 21st. Let's go back. So here we are today. And I'm just going to click it, and you can see from day to day what they're projecting. See, there's a massive change from one day to the next. And here's the last day in their model. So this is where they're projecting it will be by the 26th, next Sunday. And this number here is the day they ran the model. They ran this yesterday, the 18th. So don't get confused with these numbers. The real date is projected for this date up here, which is 7/26. So we can just see skim of ice around here on this northern part. and it's melting quickly on this eastern side of Greenland. The Baffin Bay is pretty much cleared out. These little tributaries are opening up, and as they open up, then that water is warmer as well, and the sea ice is melting very quickly. And so we're going to see this area right above Greenland open up next. I'm thinking as this Beaufort Sea opens up, and then it's just going to keep getting thinner and thinner until it's gone. But I think, personally, I think we are going to have pretty much a blue ocean event this year. And it doesn't have to be completely ice-free in order for us to have a whole bunch of bad stuff happen. I mean, these oceans are heating up with no reflectivity here. And there's methane stored all over the place up here. I've shown that. Hang on, I'll get that for you. Okay, I'm back. This was created by Sam Carana, and these blue areas are where they think there are huge methane deposits in the ocean floor sediments. And see, it goes right across the North Pole, right there. And here's this East Siberia Arctic shelf in the red block. Now here in the Beaufort Sea, there's a whole bunch. There's a whole bunch here in the Baffin Bay, all around Greenland, and also next to Norway, and all around Novaya Zemlya, and here's the Yamal Peninsula. It's all around there. So, you know, this area is already all ice-free. All of this, and this area is ice-free now too. And next to Greenland, it's ice-free. So, you know, it could blow any time. We don't have to have it completely ice-free before it could blow. Any moment now. So, we need to be ready. And once that goes, that will heat up the planet exponentially. So time will be very short then. Okay, so that's all of that. Now let's move on. This is from the National Snow and Ice Data Center. This is the Sea Ice Index. This is the Arctic. I put on the blue marble view. This is the concentration. This is from yesterday, and where it's more blue, that's less concentrated. Here's their chart for the sea ice extent for the Arctic. Now this is not thickness, this is just the extent that has any little bit of ice on it. And the blue is this year, and we can see we're going on a nosedive down. We're lowest on record. This dotted line is 2012, and that has been the record in the past for the lowest ice on record. But we're taking a nosedive. We're way below 2012 now. Here's the Greenland ice sheet. It's from the same website, and I'll go ahead and click on this. The salmon color is where it's melting. We're seeing the main melting, so a lot on this northern edge. these are the days of ice melt since the first of the year. We can see it where it's been melting. So there's been a lot of melting up here on this northeast side and down on the southwest side. Here's their graph for the melt extent for this year. The red line is this year. The dotted blue line is 1981 to 2010 median. And so we can see that it spiked up at the end of June, and now July it dropped down. So I'm thinking that the cooler air temperatures right on the interior have helped to keep it down. Now let's move on over to NASA Worldview. Let me refresh this. Get as much data as possible. Now this area we still don't have data for, but that's on land. We've got all of the Arctic for the sea ice, it looks like, for today. Now the layer I have turned on here with the colors is sea ice concentration, and here's the ledger up here. They're all these different colors. They go by the order of the rainbow, and this is intense melt all the way across. And here it is in the Beaufort Sea melting. Here it is on this eastern side. This is the North Pole. Here's Greenland, and it's massively melting. So let's go back. We'll go back through the week. So last week when I did my report, this is what it looked like on July the 12th. So I'm just going to click through and you'll be able to see what's happened this week. So there it is from last Sunday. Wait a minute, I'm going to turn these clouds off. They're kind of distracting. So we'll get the blue marble layer. Okay, so no clouds, we're just looking at the sea ice. There's the 12th. It's the 13th. It's the 14th. 15th. Look at the change here on the 16th. 17th. 18th. That was yesterday. And here it is today. So we can see in the last few days it's really starting to break down. And with these darker reds, it's going into the melting even more, and then it goes down into orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. So that's where we're at right. Let's see. That's where we're at right now with that. So we'll turn the clouds back on. I'm going to turn this layer off. Now let's just take a little tour. Now here's Greenland. We can see it's pretty much ice-free here in Baffin Bay. Now remember, there's methane stored under there. Lots and lots of methane. Now we're looking through some clouds here. So here's the northern edge of Greenland. The sea ice is broken away here. We're looking through some clouds there. Here's this Canada. This is where we were seeing the methane come up right along in here, popping up. So you can see the open water here on this coastline. there's a cloud there, but this is, the ice is here. And here it's opening up. And so on. So this is the Beaufort Sea that's in high melt right now. Here's the Bering Strait. It's ice free. This is the Bering Sea and Chukchi Sea. This is the ice edge here coming around here. And this line is the 80-degree north latitude. So here's Siberia. This is all along here is this East Siberia Arctic shelf, and we can see there's some clouds, but no ice. Here's just the little fringe of ice here, but the coastlines are clear. Look at that. You can see these coastlines very clearly, except for the clouds. See? No ice. See these islands? I don't know when I've seen it this clear. This is a completely different pattern than last year. Here's some clouds. So this is the rain. This is where it's raining. And there's a bunch of clouds here. Here's Severny Zemlya. This is where the methane that we're seeing come up on cams around the little islands there. Here's Novaya Zemlya. Here's the Yamal Peninsula. See, no ice. This is Russia. Here's the Kola Peninsula. And then this is Norway here. Here's Svalbard. There's no ice around there. Those are all clouds. Franz Josef Land. Let's see. Let's peek back a day or so. See if we can see. See, here's Svalbard. See, there's the ice. I want to show you something else. We can turn on, Robin loves this layer, the ice surface temperature layer. And this shows where it's cloud free, and the ice and the water temperature. So this is the area right now that's cloud free, and when you run your pointer over it, the temperature shows up over here. Now this is in Kelvin, and 272 is about freezing for fresh water, but a lot of this is a mix of fresh and seawater, so the freezing point is usually below the 272 up here. But even so, like where my pointer is right there, it's 277 Kelvin is the temperature. That's the temperature. That's why we're seeing all those reds, like on Climate Reanalyzer. See? That's the area that's in the red zone. So that's what we've got. That means it's that much higher than normal. That's 278 right there. Now, this is ice over here, 272. That's melting. That's not even freezing. Then those are clouds. But if we go, if you want to see how hot, like here's Novaya Zemlya, this is 282 Kelvin. This is 285 Kelvin. So these oceans, they're really heating up fast. Here, that's 272, 273. So all of these temperatures, huge areas are above freezing. So that's why we're seeing the ice just like disintegrate in front of our eyes from day to day. This is what it looks like. Let's see. So there's that. Now let's see where we're at. I think I've taken some pictures of some earthquakes, and I'll share those. These are my pictures I took for today. This morning there were 297 earthquakes worldwide of all magnitudes. This is on USGS. And we can see them all around, popping back up all around, back around this European and African Australia continents. These big dots are 5s. These dots are 4s. That's a 3 range there. These are 4s down here. In the lower 48 for the US today, there were 198 out of 297. Here's Searles Valley Ridgecrest area in Southern California. There were 29 today, so that's kind of a lower number. In western Nevada and over into the Mammoth Lakes area, there were 83 today, with the highest one being this 3.5 at Bodie. There was also a 3.4 over here at Neenah. In the Pacific Northwest, we're seeing 9 today. They're pretty small. One's, I think, 1's and under, but still. So this is the Cascadia subduction zone, and just south of this area is where we're seeing that sulfur dioxide come across. In the Yellowstone area, we're showing 4 today, with the highest being, there was a 2.6 at Stanley, Idaho, and a 2.6 at Willow Creek, Montana. There was a 2.5 in West Texas. The reporting station was White City, New Mexico, but it's actually south of the border in Texas, in West Texas. Alaska's showing 64 today, with the highest one being a 4.1 at Lime Village here. Hawaii's showing 9 earthquakes today, with the highest being a 3.0 at Pahala. Puerto Rico has 8 today, with the highest being a 3.6. South America is showing 3 earthquakes today, a 4.3 in Argentina, 4.6 Bolivia, and a 4.8 in Chile. In the South Pacific, we're seeing 7 here today, with the largest one being this 5.4 in the South Indian Ocean. Then these are all in the 4s range, going around from the Kermadec Islands all the way around through Indonesia. there were 3 here in the Japan and the Kuril Islands area. There was a 4.6 here off the coast of Takahaki, Japan, 4.4 at Kuril Islands, and a 4.1 off the coast of Kamchatka, Russia. And there were 5 earthquakes in this view. There was a 5.0 at Kamdo, China, and then 4.6 at Yemen, 4.5 Afghanistan, 4.0 Eastern Turkey, and a 4.5 at Myanmar. And those are all the earthquake pictures I had. Now, let's go back. Let's see if anything big has happened. Here's a new one. North of India, 4.1 in Afghanistan just came in. Yemen, that one was already on the map. I'm not seeing anything huge. So where we're seeing the sulfur dioxide come across is right here. Right across this fulcrum point where this is the Juan de Fuca plate, this is the Cascadia subduction zone, and we're just waiting to see when this goes, and then we're going to have huge events happen. Huge. So when I see sulfur dioxide zipping across like that, it is not comforting to see that. But I'll keep an eye on it. And I'm going to finish the show. I've been reading from the Bible on my shows, and I'm reading the prophetic books of the Bible right now, just a chapter at a time, and I'm on Ezekiel chapter 28, and I feel like these words are just jumping off the page, speaking to us in our time too. So I believe we're in the end times, and we need to be seeking the Lord for our guidance and for our salvation of our souls. Ezekiel chapter 28. The word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, Thus saith the Lord God, because thine heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am God, I am in the seat of God, in the midst of the seas, yet thou art a man and not God, though thou set thine heart as the heart of God. Behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from thee. With thy wisdom and with thine understanding, thou hast gotten thee riches, and hast gotten gold and silver into thy treasures. By thy great wisdom and by thy traffic hast thou increased thy riches, and thine heart is lifted up because of thy riches. Therefore thus saith the Lord God, because thou hast set thine heart as the heart of God, behold, therefore I will bring strangers upon thee, the terrible of the nations, and they shall draw their swords against the beauty of thy wisdom, and they shall defile thy brightness. They shall bring thee down to the pit, and thou shalt die the deaths of them that are slain in the midst of the seas. Wilt thou yet say before him that slayeth thee, I am God? But thou shalt be a man, and no God, in the hand of him that slayeth thee. Thou shalt die the deaths of the uncircumcised by the hand of strangers, for I have spoken it, saith the Lord God. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, take up a lamentation upon the king of Tyrus, and say unto him, Thus saith the Lord God, Thou sealest up the sum, full of wisdom, and perfect in beauty. Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone was thy covering, the sardius topaz, and the diamond, the beryl, the onyx, and the jasper, the sapphire, the emerald, and the carbuncle, and gold. The workmanship of thy tabrets and of thy pipes was prepared in thee in the day that thou wast created. Thou art the anointed cherub that covereth, and I have set thee so. Thou wast upon the holy mountain of God. Thou hast walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire. Thou wast perfect in thy ways from the day that thou wast created, till iniquity was found in thee. By the multitude of thy merchandise they have filled the midst of thee with violence, and thou hast sinned. Therefore I will cast thee as profane out of the mountain of God, and I will destroy thee, O covering cherub, from the midst of the stones of fire. Thine heart was lifted up because of thy beauty. Thou hast corrupted thy wisdom by reason of thy brightness. I will cast thee to the ground. I will lay thee before kings, that they may behold thee. Thou hast defiled thy sanctuaries by the multitude of thine iniquities, by the iniquity of thy traffic. Therefore will I bring forth a fire from the midst of thee, it shall devour thee, and I will bring thee to ashes upon the earth in the sight of all them that behold thee. All they that know thee among the people shall be astonished at thee. Thou shalt be a terror, and never shalt thou be any more. Again the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Zidon, and prophesy against it, and say, Thus saith the Lord God, Behold, I am against thee, O Zidon, and I will be glorified in the midst of thee, and they shall know that I am the Lord, when I shall have executed judgments in her, and shall be sanctified in her. For I will send into her pestilence, and blood into her streets, and the wounded shall be judged in the midst of her, by the sword upon her on every side, and they shall know that I am the Lord. And there shall be no more a pricking briar into the house of Israel, nor any grieving thorn of all that are round about them, that despise them, and they shall know that I am the Lord God. Thus saith the Lord God, when I shall have gathered the house of Israel from the people among whom they are scattered, and shall be sanctified in them in the sight of the heathen, then shall they dwell in the land that I have given to my servant Jacob. And they shall dwell safely therein, and shall build houses, and plant vineyards. Yea, they shall dwell with confidence, when I have executed judgments upon all those that despise them round about them. And they shall know that I am the Lord their God. Ezekiel chapter 28. So I'll go ahead and sign off for now. I'm praying for everyone. I think that time is very short, And if you haven't gotten right with God and Jesus, now is the time. So until next time, God bless you. Go in peace, and we'll talk to you soon. I love you all. Goodbye.